You won't believe what being too busy is actually hiding. It's not what you think. We need to talk about loneliness, but not the obvious kind. Not the sitting alone in a dark room, sad movie montage kind of lonely. I'm talking about a secret, hidden loneliness that can creep into your life even when you're surrounded by people. It's a strange feeling, right? To be in a crowd and still feel like you're on the outside looking in. You might be laughing with friends, going to parties, or constantly messaging people, but deep down there's this little whisper, this empty space that just won't go away. The crazy part is, you might not even realize it's loneliness you're feeling. You might just think you're tired or stressed or that something is just off. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden loneliness. We'll explore 5 subtle signs that you might be brushing off as something else entirely. And stick around, because the last sign is the one that most people miss, and it's a game changer once you see it. Are you constantly jumping from one task to the next? Your calendar is packed, your to-do list is a mile long, and you tell everyone and yourself that you're just so busy. It feels productive, right? Like you're making the most of every minute. But what if that busyness is actually a shield? What if you're using it to avoid something else? Think about it. When you're constantly on the go, you don't have a moment to spare. You don't have time for quiet reflection, for just being with your own thoughts. And for someone who is secretly lonely, that quiet time can be incredibly uncomfortable. The silence can be deafening because it's in those moments that the feelings of emptiness start to surface. So you fill every second with work, with chores, with errands, with anything that keeps your mind occupied. It's a brilliant defense mechanism. If you never stop moving, the loneliness can't catch up. This isn't just a random idea. There's real psychology behind it. We often use behavioral activation in a positive way to deal with things like depression by encouraging people to get active and engaged. But when you're using it as an avoidance strategy, it's a different story. You're not engaging with activities that are genuinely fulfilling or connecting you with others in a meaningful way. You're just moving. It's like running on a hamster wheel. You're expending a lot of energy, but you're not actually going anywhere. You might even find yourself getting irritated when plans are canceled, not because you were looking forward to the event, but because it leaves you with an unexpected empty block of time that you now have to fill. It's a frantic effort to outrun the quiet, and it's one of the most common and most overlooked signs of hidden loneliness. You have friends. You have people you talk to, people you hang out with. Your social media might even paint a picture of a vibrant, active social life. But how deep do those connections go? Here's a test. When was the last time you had a conversation with a friend that went beyond surface-level topics like work or what you watched on TV last night? When was the last time you talked about your real fears, your dreams, your insecurities? If you're drawing a blank, that's a huge red flag. Secret loneliness isn't always about the quantity of your friends. It's about the quality of those connections. You can have hundreds of friends online, but if you don't feel like you can truly be yourself with any of them, you're going to feel isolated. It's like being at a massive banquet, but only being allowed to eat bread. Sure, you're not starving, but you're not nourished either. This often happens because we're afraid of being vulnerable. We worry that if we show our true, messy, imperfect selves, people will run for the hills. So we keep things light. We crack jokes, we talk about the weather, we keep the conversation in the safe zone. We put on a performance of being the fun friend or the easygoing friend. The problem is, this performance is exhausting, and it creates a barrier between you and the very people you want to connect with. True connection requires vulnerability. It's about letting someone see the real you and seeing the real them in return. When you're secretly lonely, you might be surrounded by people, but you feel like no one really knows you. And that is a uniquely painful kind of isolation. Picture this. You're out to dinner with friends. The conversation lulls for a moment. And what's the first thing you do? If your hand automatically reaches for your phone, you're not alone. But this habit might be more than just a habit. It could be a sign of social anxiety and, you guessed it, loneliness. Your phone is a perfect escape hatch. It's a way to look busy and engaged, even when you feel disconnected from what's happening around you. It gives you something to do with your hands, somewhere to look other than at the people you feel awkward with. In a way, your phone becomes a social crutch. You might be physically present, but your mind is somewhere else entirely. Scrolling through feeds, checking notifications, or even just pretending to read something important. The irony here is brutal. The very device that promises to connect us to the world can actually deepen our sense of isolation. Studies have shown a link between high social media use and increased feelings of loneliness. We see curated highlight reels of other people's lives, and it can make our own reality feel lacking in comparison. We see pictures of friends hanging out without us, and that stings. What's more, when you're on your phone in a social setting, you're sending a clear signal to the people around you. I'm not available right now. You're closing yourself off to the possibility of a real, in-the-moment connection. It becomes a vicious cycle. You feel lonely, so you turn to your phone for a quick hit of connection. But that digital connection is like junk food. It's unsatisfying and leaves you wanting more. And your phone use pushes real, in-person connection further away, which in turn makes you feel even more lonely. It's a trap, and one that's incredibly easy to fall into.
Have you found yourself shopping online a lot more lately? Are packages constantly showing up at your door? This might seem completely unrelated to loneliness, but stay with me. Compulsive shopping, or even just a significant increase in your spending habits, can be a way of trying to fill an emotional void. When you buy something new, you get a little rush of a brain chemical called dopamine. It's the same chemical that's released when you eat delicious food or get a notification on your phone. It feels good. It's a temporary high, a little burst of excitement and pleasure. And when you're feeling empty and lonely, that little rush can be incredibly appealing. It's a way to feel something, anything, other than that persistent ache of disconnection. This is often called retail therapy. And while there's nothing wrong with treating yourself now and then, it becomes a problem when it's your go-to coping mechanism. The thrill of the purchase is fleeting. The new gadget, the new clothes, the new whatever it is, that initial excitement wears off. And once it does, you're right back where you started, with that same empty feeling. Only now, you might also have the added stress of a hefty credit card bill. Think of it like this. You're trying to patch a hole in your heart with material possessions. But the hole isn't material, it's emotional. So you can keep throwing things at it, but it's never going to stick. The stuff you buy can't hug you back. It can't listen to your problems. It can't offer you genuine companionship. It's a temporary distraction, a short-term fix for a long-term problem. If you notice that you're spending more and more to get that same fleeting feeling of happiness, it might be time to ask yourself what you're really trying to buy.
This is the sign that shocks most people. You might think your constant colds, your nagging headaches, or your general feeling of being run down is just bad luck or a weak immune system. But there's a powerful, scientifically backed connection between loneliness and your physical health. Loneliness isn't just a feeling, it's a physiological state that can have a serious impact on your body. Research has shown that chronic loneliness can be as damaging to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's linked to a whole host of health problems, including an increased risk of heart disease, stroke, and dementia. But why? It comes down to stress. Feeling lonely and isolated puts your body in a constant state of fight or flight. Your body is flooded with stress hormones like cortisol. In the short term, this response is helpful. It prepares you to deal with a threat. But when you feel lonely all the time, this stress response never turns off. This chronic stress wreaks havoc on your immune system. It can lead to chronic inflammation, which is a key driver of many diseases. It makes you more susceptible to getting sick, and it can take you longer to recover. So if you find yourself catching every bug that goes around, or if you just feel physically unwell a lot of the time, it's worth considering the role that your emotional state might be playing. It's not all in your head, it's in your body. Your physical symptoms could be your body's way of sending out an SOS. It's a cry for help, a signal that something is deeply out of balance. Ignoring it is not an option if you want to be truly healthy both mentally and physically.
So, what do you do if some of these signs are hitting a little too close to home? The first step is simply acknowledging it, without judgment. It's okay to feel lonely. It doesn't mean you're broken or unlovable. It's a universal human experience. In fact, a report from Cigna in 2020 found that 3 in 5 Americans report being lonely. You are far from alone in feeling this way. The real challenge is breaking the cycle. As we've seen, many of the ways we cope with loneliness, staying busy, keeping conversations shallow, escaping into our phones, actually push connection further away. It's like being thirsty and trying to drink sand. It feels like you're doing something, but it's only making the problem worse. The path out of loneliness is not about suddenly making 100 new best friends. It's about small, intentional shifts. It's about choosing quality over quantity. It's about taking a risk and being a little more vulnerable with someone you trust. It could be as simple as putting your phone away when you're with a friend and really listening to them. It could be suggesting a conversation that goes a little deeper than usual. Or it could be finding a hobby or a group that connects you with people who share your interests, not just your proximity. Here's the key moment, the turning point. Loneliness is not a life sentence. It is a signal. Just like physical pain tells you that you've touched a hot stove, the pain of loneliness is telling you that a fundamental human need is not being met, the need for genuine connection. You have a choice. You can continue to ignore the signal, to numb it with busyness, to cover it with shallow interactions, to distract yourself with shopping and scrolling, or you can listen to it. You can honor that signal and recognize that it's pointing you towards something you desperately need. The bravest thing you can do is to turn toward the feeling instead of running away from it. To admit to yourself, yes, I think I might be lonely. That admission isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of incredible strength. It's the first step toward building the rich, meaningful connections you deserve. It's the start of coming home to yourself and to others. So, let's quickly recap the 5 hidden signs of loneliness we talked about. You're always busy, using constant activity as a shield to avoid quiet moments and uncomfortable feelings. Your friendships feel shallow. You have people in your life but lack deep, meaningful connections where you can be vulnerable. You're constantly on your phone, using your device as a social crutch to escape awkwardness and avoid real-world interaction. You're buying a lot of stuff, trying to fill an emotional void with material possessions and the temporary high of shopping. You get sick a lot. Chronic loneliness can weaken your immune system, leading to more frequent illnesses. Recognizing these signs in your own life is a huge step. It's about understanding what's really going on beneath the surface. It's not about blame, it's about awareness. And with awareness comes the power to change. Now that you can spot these hidden signs, you might be wondering what the next step is.
Check out this video on the screen to learn about small habits you can start today to build real, lasting connections. Also, don't forget to subscribe to RainWish. Until next time, goodbye.